And if you're trying to run a pan-Asian organisation, so if you're trying to deal with Indonesia, which is, 280 million Muslims, if you're trying to deal with China and there's Buddhists there, and if you're trying to deal with India and there's full of Hindus and Buddhists, actually the mix of the people we have is an asset rather than a political problem, So government's been very supportive. Many governments would have thrown their hat at it, but they made hard decisions. Before any of Christopher Rousseff arrived, they decided to axe 6,000 people, which was a huge thing to do. They invested in the company again, so they were big calls. And when people make calls like that, you need to work with them to make sure it happens. So
coming from Ryanair, we're very slim, low cost, no unions. We had this perception here in Malaysia, was where Alitalia is, that it was burgeoning. Nobody'd ever reined in costs, and people were employed. Vast amounts of people were employed with no jobs for them. Is that perception wrong, or was that really what you?
Well, the organisation has shrunk a bit in terms of number of aircraft, but it has shrunk dramatically in number of staff. So it was overstaffed in certain areas. But at the same time, the biggest problem I think was purchasing badly, and probably purchasing aircraft badly. The only real thing, you can manage costs in a lot of areas in aviation, but most airlines now are getting reasonably good at negotiating handling charges and catering charges and those things. And Malaysia Airlines hadn't been very good at that, but it was just they never asked for the discounts, right? But where they really, I think, in the past hadn't done so well was when they bought aircraft, tended to pay full price for them and not get the kind of deals that you would see airlines generally getting. But that had been a feature of other national carriers in the region generally. So we're stuck with some of those aircraft still right now. So there's some legacy high costs in terms of lease costs, etc. We have got some of them down. I think where there can be a step change in the costs of the airlines will be in the next aircraft that we introduce in the next couple of years, where we'll get much better rates on them. And that's really the big difference. If you look at Ryanair's been the best at buying aircraft in the world for the last 20 years. So, and the next deliveries that start, I think 2018-19 of the Maxes was better again, right? So I don't know whether everybody else is going to be able to cope with that, right? Because actually Ryanair's cost advantage will be even greater, I think, in future years than it is even now, because they just have bought the plane so much better. But you see, IAG under Willie Walsh, they've got very, very good at buying aircraft. They did some great deals recently on the aircraft for this level, new airline they've operated. And AirAsia bought very well over the years. Conor McCarthy was very involved in their fleet purchases from Dublin Airspace when he was involved in AirAsia, and he still is. So that's the big differences. So most other costs, there's not so much you can do about them, because a lot of costs are regulated in airlines. Fuel, you hedge, you don't hedge. Airport charges, airport landing charges. These things, there's nothing you can do about them.
Your staffing costs must be lower.
They're good now. Yeah, they're better than our peers now generally across the board. We still have got some more efficiencies we can run around that, get productivity up. But
and with a lot of messy lease deals and everything, would it not have been easier just to close and reopen?
Well, they effectively did close and reopen. There was an old company, everything was left behind in that. The new company, a lot of the stuff was novated over. Maybe even with the novation over some of the stuff, they might have been aggressive as maybe I might have been, but it doesn't matter. You just get on with it.
And if I read it correctly, you pull back the long haul to try and get the short haul beefed up and drive the profits from the short haul.
Yeah. So you need to get like we're doing an awful lot of flights 6, 7, 8 hours. So in Europe that's considered long haul, or medium haul. We're doing a lot of flights on 737s 5 hours, so that's a long flight. We were flying to Amsterdam and Paris. They've also been flying to Frankfurt. We cut those routes, but they were being operated by very inefficient, very low seat density 777s, so that just didn't make any sense anyway. I wouldn't rule out that in the next 2 or 3 years we'll go back in some of those routes. But if we go back in some of those routes, we'd go back with an aircraft that'll cost half the lease charge per month, with maybe 100 more seats. So it'll be a completely different economic model we'll be operating on. And if we go back, we'll go back with, aircraft with beautiful lie flat bed seats in business class and a better cabin.
Tony Fernandez nibbling, is that an advantage or a disadvantage from where you're sitting?
Oh, listen, we have the toughest competition in the world. There's nowhere in the world that fares are lower than Kuala Lumpur. It's the lowest average fares in the whole world. Even Ryanair would be shocked at how low the fares are on average. So that's very tough, and it will continue to be tough forever. I don't see that going away. But that's just life. Get on it and get over it. And we have to be smarter and clever than most other full-service carriers. There's very few other carriers in the world that are dealing with the average fare to fly domestically within Malaysia, an hour and a quarter, an hour and a half, is around about $25. So that's Ryanair doesn't even come near that. So, and that's not just on a few flights every day. That's all flights, all day, every day, all over Malaysia. So that's a tough environment.
In the Irish market, you were operating the lowest fares to Australia. There's no other word.
Yeah, we've got great deals.
Is that going to continue?
Yeah, it will continue. Yeah, we reached out very strongly. Actually, the week 2 and 3 that I was in the job, we had been trying to push sales directly to the public through the website. We had lower fares on the website than we had through the travel agents. I stopped that immediately, and I went around Malaysia. I visited the top 13, 14 travel agents. I apologised for the way we treated them. Then we realigned the fares so that the agents have better fares than the public see. And in terms of here, then we've changed the sales force that deals with the operation, and we've readjusted the fares, and we've gone very tight with the travel trade in Ireland and England and in Europe to try and reposition the company back to be the first choice for Asia. That's it. It's worked dramatically well. It's answered a number of questions also, because we know now there's nothing wrong with the brand. Okay, there was a lot of talk about changing the brand, changing the name, changing the logo. You don't get to 90% load factor last December unless people are very happy to fly with you. We expect to be able to offer great value fares, for the next few years. Because we brought our costs down, we've brought the load factors up, and that's sustainable. When you're operating an A380 twice a day, you have 200 or 300 seats to play with at very good value fares, and it's great to see people back travelling with us. I travelled over yesterday morning off my flight coming in from KL, the morning flight. I think there was 60 or 70 people connecting to Dublin and Cork on flights. There was a gang of lads, 6 or 7 of them from New Zealand. There was a bunch of girls who were very sunburned coming from Thailand, and I was waiting at the bus transfer for Terminal 2 with 4 lads who had just come from Cambodia. They looked like they'd been in a battle rather than looking at historical museums. So if we make it affordable, people can travel. And then, in business class, our business class is very, very full now with traffic out of Europe, and we have some very competitive fares, but that's as it should be, I think.
It's interesting you're engaging the trade. The model, a lot of people are trying to disengage, including the Lufthansas of the world, and putting on GDS charges. Yeah. Is that because you need them and you're just waiting for the time, or is it?
Because I used to be a travel agent tour operator and I understand the business.
You used to work for Ryanair.
But famously, but Ryanair does a lot of business now through OTAs and travel agents as well, and increasingly so. And I think that's a good business model for them as well. And they're not. But if you're in Asia, and 95% of all business travel in Asia, in Malaysia and most of Asia, is booked through travel agents. So if you want to be a premium 5-star full-service carrier, and we're always going to be relatively small in size, right? The fleet's 74, 75 aircraft at the moment. Maybe over the next few years we'll grow to, maybe over the next 3, 4, 5 years we'll go to maybe 100 aircraft, but it's still relatively small. You need to do something different and unique, and I think being the partner and the friend of the travel agents and tour operators is the right thing to do. It makes perfect sense for me. In Asia, travel agents are still very prevalent. They're extremely professional, highly automated. It's a serious business to be in over there, and it's still a very profitable business to be in. And I think that'll only grow, and particularly in China, where we're building some strength. That's a good strategy. So yeah, it's counterintuitive to what everybody else is doing, but I think for us it's a great strategy. Maybe because everybody else is not doing it, maybe we'll do very well out of it.
And the bar has been raised very high by the Middle East carriers, particularly in the business, the front of the aircraft. Is that mean that you're looking elsewhere?
Is it? I don't know. I travel with them. I think our food is better than theirs. I think our aircraft, we're less cramped in economy than mostly they are. So
what do you have?
I don't know.
Pitch?
Perception is reality. We've got 32 or 33 in most aircraft, and so perception is reality. Are they? Are they not? Does anybody use the shower? I don't know. Do they? But do you want to dine on demand with 10 courses and the food is lovely? So I don't know. So yeah, sure.
You're competing with them, is what you're saying.
We're competing with them, but are they doing well? No. So that's not a secret. Emirates and Etihad are going through some significant change at the moment. Qatar, I think, have a totally different business than the rest of them. They have a huge short-haul fleet, which they've very successfully, I think, 42 or 44 A320s. Flying to places that nobody's ever heard of, in places that you wouldn't want to go, but a lot of people pay an awful lot of money to connect through. So I think they have quite a different business. They're very active in One World. We do a lot of business with them connecting through. So I think they have a different business actually than the other two. So I don't know. Anyway. It goes back years and years and years ago. When I worked at Corry Airport, I worked for Dennis Brosnan, who founded the Kerry Group, the food company. And he used to say most times in business is about staying on the pitch long enough to score a goal. So a lot of what we're at the moment is not doing stupid stuff, getting the simple things right, going back to some old-fashioned distribution channels. We're very good digitally as well. We'll get better at that. In fact, I've no doubt, like Ryanair is now, is probably the best digital airline in the world. I think Ryanair actually, I booked flights on Sunday. I booked the week before for my kids. We're installing Amadeus at the moment, so we have gone through every single website in the world, the booking flow and everything, and they went from being not great to being probably, we would think they're probably, Malaysia Airlines staff tell me it's probably the best booking flow in the world. So yeah, I think we've an opportunity to be really, really good at that as well, but we won't cut off the travel agents in the course of doing it, so
So are you premium economy?
No, we're not going to do premium economy. No. We'll continue to have first class on London, and if we come back on other routes in Europe over the next couple of years, we'd probably do some small first class as well.
But the two
we do business class and we do economy. I actually think premium economy in Asia is a bad idea. I don't know enough about it, but instinct tells me if Cathay Pacific had not done premium economy, they wouldn't be in the trouble they're in. I actually think you end up in Asia cannibalising your business. There's a lot of people in Asia, status is very important to them, and they either want to be in business or they want to be in economy. If their company says that if there's premium economy available, you have to take it, I think you cannibalise your revenues in business class, and I don't think the customer's actually that happy, because it's not the status that they want to be. So and we were a relatively niche operation on a number of routes, so I think we need to have business up front and economy down the back. Our big bookings in business class are double where they were a year ago. So.
China, is it going to solve everyone's problems in the region?
No, it won't.
The numbers are
but
huge.
It will increment a lot of things, and they're great customers, they're great travellers, they love Malaysia, they get the same food as they get at home. 30% of Malaysians speak Chinese, so for us it's a bit of a no-brainer really. I think that the whole Malaysian economy will do very well out of China.
And the crashes, the two lost aircraft, how big an impact was it? It was a big media kerfuffle, but did it actually stop people flying with Malaysian?
It did for a while. I think the biggest thing is ultimately it dented the confidence of the staff. And the biggest impact, so horrendous tragedy, I can't imagine what the families are still going through, and I have met some of them very recently, so it is very distressing what they are going through. But I work with some people who lost their best friends. I work with them every day. There's still tears in our workplace on a regular basis. Everybody knows everybody in Malaysia Airlines, even though it's 14,000 people. Everybody knows everybody else. So we lost a lot of our colleagues. So that never ever leaves us. Every day that lives with us all day. So, but there's another part of that, because if you can keep going through tragedies like that, and you go back from this time last year, last May we were operating London at over just around mid 40% load factor. This month we're operating at 80% plus load factor. If you get through that terrible situation, and ultimately you're coming through successful, that breeds a strength and a backbone and a tenacity and a toughness in people that you probably don't get in organisations normally. So that's probably an asset for me, that I've got a bunch of people who've been battle hardened, so to speak.
People are looking to you for the turnaround, what you, Christoph, did and what you've done. What's the piece of advice you'd give to the people facing into the process, the likes of the Alitalia?
Just get on with it, and take the hard decisions and take them fast. You're not going to get everything right. You might make 6 decisions out of 10 correctly, but make the 6 decisions fast. And if you have to cut hard and cut fast. And don't cut on the product. Don't cut back on the product. Actually improve the product. Make the food better and make the seats better. You can do both. And take the hard decisions fast on the aircraft, because that's the big costs. And don't be scared to go and kick Airbus and Boeing and the leasing companies around, because generally they've made a fortune out of you over the years. So maybe it's payback time, but just get on with it. It's too much. I'm looking at the sidelines of some of the places that are in real trouble at the moment. There's a load of people there's a load of airlines in bother at the moment that people aren't even aware of, right? And they're just pretending it's okay. It's not going to be okay. Like, if you're in trouble, you're in trouble. You just need to do something about it. So I think that's what I'd say. Just to get on with it.
How long does it take?
It takes years. It'll take us next year. We should be profitable next year across the year. The year after, we should be making some decent profits, and we have a chance to go back on the capital markets in Asia. So it takes 3 years, at least to get. But you have to start somewhere, and pretending everything's going to be all right, it ain't going to be all right. Like, if you're in trouble, if you've got too many people, you're paying too much for your aircraft, and your revenues are declining, it's not going to turn itself around.
Thanks very much.